You released the film in '08, and it gives you positioning, some type of a list build. It's not a huge moneymaker because you're selling DVDs and you've spent a ton of money. But then all of a sudden you hit a home run with in 2009. That transition into the summit, I'd like to hear about that, where that came from and how it worked.
So the summit, I had actually done a summit with one of my good friends from high school, Kevin Gianni, in 2006 or 7. I think it was before I started the movie. So maybe 2006. We had, again, these are like these little side things you do. I'm still doing the real estate stuff, but we get into, hey, can we build something on the web? Can we create something? And at the time, he was doing a fitness thing. Like he had like Renegade Health, which is like a fitness thing, trying to do YouTube videos and build a brand there. And I'm doing some little things on the side. And what was really hot then were these, I forget what they were even called. They were like teleclasses. They were audio. First off, they were audio, right? Audio only, obviously. And they would be like twice a week. So someone would just say, hey, we're doing this 3-month thing twice a week. We're bringing experts on. We're going to talk about a topic and then we're going to sell their program at the end, right? That was like the model. And we said, well, why don't we do that in the health space, right? So we're like looking and, we're talking to people about the model, going to different internet marketing seminars, going to a Dan Kennedy seminar, going to a Jay Abraham seminar, like the different things that are swirling then. And the model at the time was tough for us for a couple reasons. One, people were like, well, yeah, you collect some money up front, but then it's 3 months and then you got to wait till the end of the time before you collect everything because there's a lot of refunds and this, that, and the other. And we said, man, 3 months. I mean, we are as broke as can be. So we're like, we don't want to wait 3 months. So we're like, well, instead of having them twice a week, why don't we do it 3 times a week? It was just like, great. That brings you down to 2 months or whatever it was. And then we just kept, no joke. Like the reason it came to the format it was us just condensing the time period because we wanted to be able to collect that money earlier, So we ended up being like, well, okay, so what if we do it every day? Oh, what if we do twice a day? And that was the time frame. Like we had 20 sessions that we then condensed 2 per day over 10 days. So that was the impetus behind the financial reason to do it. The building of the actual thing, what I struggled with is it felt to me as a consumer, I would listen to these calls and I would get just enough to learn a thing or two, but hey, all the meat was really in the $9.97 course, or whatever the thing was. Like, and every single call sold something, like every single call. And so I said to myself, like, what if we didn't do that? They would also sell the whole series, but they wouldn't sell that much of it because the series wasn't that great, right? It was just like, who wants to buy 20 sales pitches? So it's like, well, what if we actually deliver content during that time period? What I thought to myself, if someone came to a weekend seminar, it was like, you pay and then you get the content. Yeah, as we all know from being at different real estate seminars or even internet marketing seminars, there are upsells for the bigger program and all that stuff. But I was just personally not a fan and wanted to be like, what if we actually delivered the content? And that was it. Like, this is the thing. I think that little shift in being like, the product is the thing is what made it successful. And it certainly, the first Fountain of Youth World Summit was an absolute failure. I think we might have made $18,000 on it. We had all these different experts. We had people with email lists for 400,000 people. And I remember the night I thought I was going to be rich because someone was going to, with 400,000 people, was going to mail for the summit. And, it converted terribly. And we might have made $1,200 from that send, but at least it built that basis. And the summit name I just came up with because it was like, oh, like they have these like summit places again, like for the event. And then we're like, well, what if it's a world summit? Give it an extra, thing. So I had the foundation and again, a failure really with the Fountain of Youth World Summit is what it was called. But then when it came to the Tapping World Summit, I was like, you know what? There might be something here. The experts are here. The community's here. Like I knew who it would be. I knew that they had email lists. I knew they could send out about it. I knew if I paid them 50%, it was worth their time. We really almost helped monetize an existing community that had a demand for more information, but it wasn't packaged well enough. And I think that's why that first summit works so well. And, a lot of the credit goes to my sister, Jessica, who did those first interviews and the last ones in the 16th annual summit, because she is a great interviewer and we just laser focused on the content. A lot of times with summits, people just treat them as like radio interviews or even podcasts. Like back then it was like radio interviews. Now it would be like podcasts. And we took and continue to take a different approach where we meet with the experts beforehand. We work on the outline, like really tight. Okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. We took it as seriously as you would as if you had a live event and you were presenting. You wouldn't have a live event with someone and present and just talk about whatever came up the way, some of these other things happen. So I think the focus on the user experience, and especially, if you think about the model is you get to listen to all of this for free. So if I don't deliver in every single one of those calls, I'm never getting that purchase. Like, why would I? It's a lot easier to sell something when you don't give it away for free and you just could have a great copy page and say this and say that about everything that will change if people do this. But when you reveal yourself in the product, you're like, here it is. This is what you're going to get. Then you really have to deliver on the content. And people have asked me about summits. They saw the success. They would say, okay, I want to do it for this. And I would give them the advice, like, got to focus on the content, got to deliver every minute. We don't let people pitch anything. We don't spend a lot of time with their backstory unless it's really relevant, because that's what I kept finding too in the years since. It's like, oh, the Gut Health World Summit. I'm like, give me the information. And next thing I know, the first 20 minutes of every single call is the story about how they got into it and why it changed their life. And maybe that's okay once, but when I got 20 of these and I want them as information, I don't need that 20-minute story. Like, give me the thing. So we really just focused on that and continue to focus on that, which is why we have the longevity of, we're tired, but we're doing it 16 years later, and we do new content every single year. We just start fresh and we say, what are we covering this year? And how are we going to cover it? And how do we make this better? Because we're so committed to, the concept and for the people that listen for free. Clearly this is a mission-based business. Like, we want to get this to people out in the world, but if someone can't afford it, which plenty of people cannot afford it, no matter how good it is, I don't want to waste an hour of their time by going, okay, here's one little nugget, but now you got to go buy the rest of this. I want the experience to be, if you listen in, if you take the time out of your day, this is going to transform your life. And we've seen that along the way. We get some stories. I remember 5 years ago, it was like, 5 women in Ecuador who would like get together to listen together at night. They couldn't afford it. Exchange rates and like all that stuff, it was just impossible. But they listened for free. They learned together, and it was like fulfilled the mission of what we're doing while still creating a sustainable business model.
So Nick, as you were explaining, thanks for that history, because there's a lot of that I did not know. And it strikes me that I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like, what's it? When we say summit, they don't get it. And the fact is, this has become, it's a model that has been very successful, and it's been used in literally every market and niche I can think of. I can think of 2 people in my mastermind that have built their business around this and put hundreds of thousands of people through these summits. But you literally invented it, which is crazy. And you invented it. Like, when I think of me with Product Launch Formula, I invented it out of necessity, and you're the same. You're like, we can't wait 2 months to get the money.
Yeah, we need it now. We need it now. No, totally.
What is that like when you look around and see just how big that model has become? How does that feel? What do you think?
I think it's great when they're done properly, right? So I don't think it's great when people miss those elements that I've talked about, because I just don't think it's great for the user experience, and it hurts every summit when people miss those parts. So like, I think you sort of asked, like, what is a summit, right? Like, what is the model? Varying lengths, varying amounts of speakers. Sometimes they'll do summits with 50 people or 100 people. My challenge with that is like, it's always been my intention. It doesn't mean everyone has to follow, but for us personally, that if people really wanted to, they could listen to the majority of it. Even if it meant like they were staying up late or getting up early or listening on the way to work. Like, if you want to experience this for free because you don't have the financial resources to get this information into your life, great. It's like a library. It's a public library, right? Like, we don't want to limit the access to people who can't do it. So our model happens to be 10 days, just for whatever reason, where we started 2 presentations a day. We've since added like a tapping meditation that you can do if you choose, and like different things like that. It runs for free. And then if you want to upgrade, it's, varying price points, but really now we're digital only because nobody wants CDs anymore. I have all the binders up there. Maybe I'll even grab the 2009 binder so you can see it. You want to see it?
Yeah.
You can see some of the wear and tear of the plastic here, right? So this is proving that we did it in 2009. Here's your binder with a workbook that we do, and here are your little CDs, all right? So this, I think we used to sell and ship for $197 when we were shipping stuff. And Affiliates, we pay them 50%, right? Like most other things. And people sign up for free. So they send an email, an affiliate sends an email and says, hey, this event's coming on, sign up for free. And people can go through the event and they can purchase if they choose to. We throw in bonuses and, other things for people that want to upgrade, but the experience itself is free for a lot of people. And like I said, and the content is, through and through just so valuable in what people listen to.
Hey, Launch family, one more thing before you go. We have some free launch resources for anyone who wants them over at getyoulaunched.com. You just enter your email, we'll send it out to you, and we can help you get launched. Thanks again for listening. We'll catch you next time.